Welcome to the Black Men's Experiences. I'm your host, CP. In this system of supremacists or supremacy, which is the most awesome mental manipulation force that has ever existed in higher sectionalities within America and higher sectionalities going throughout various parts of the planet. See, in this system of supremacy, it must have Black men or Black males, especially American Black men, constantly in a type of poster board of extremism relating to how the projectionality of how Black men should be looked at. You have one extreme where it's like you must show collectively Black males as criminality, right? They're always trying to bust people on top of the head. They're always trying to steal, right? They're behind on child support. They run from their families, right? Criminal behavior. They always run around murdering people. You see how that goes, right? For one extreme. Even though statistics show the number one males out there who commit the most crimes is numbers of males within the Panama-based culture. But of course, that's minimized, right? Some of the most top males that are some of the most active constructively in their child's lives is American Black males, right? Black males actually, in actuality, are more involved in the children's lives more than quite a number of other males for some different countries, of different cultures and backgrounds, etc. But that's not going to be talked about. It's not actually Black males that are behind on child support. It's actually more numbers of women, specifically more American Black women that are behind on child support than Black males. But that's not going to be talked about, right? You see how that goes. Now, the opposite end of it, they must show also, this system must show also Black males looking like this, right? Gullibleistic looking, right? Buffoonery looking, right? They must show them looking like this. He said, well, okay, but what else? Let me show you how else they want to portray Black males in a gullibleistic way, in a buffoonery-based way. Let me show you how they like to see males in that kind of way. Black males, especially American Black men. Yes. See, unfortunately, the productionality, and there's some Black males, the ones who know what I'm talking about on this, there has been a dwindlingness of the production and a training and a passing down of powerful information that is not being passed down to next numbers of Black males, especially numbers of American Black males. The unfortunate last great apex, the last great apexness of strong Black maleness was probably around the 60s. Because that's when you start having the last apex of the major civil rights scenarios, where numbers of American Blacks was getting tired of the nonsense and the hypocrisy in this and things like this. And you want to keep, or they want to keep personnel within certain parts of the Panama-based culture. And you had some other cultures and backgrounds that were sitting back like little cowards, right? The ones it applies to, seeing what's going on with the American Blacks, right? Not saying nothing. And still 2000 21st century, and however numbers are still doing the same thing, but still bypassing, should I say, American blacks off the blood and sweat and tears and some extra blood, sweat, and tears, and then sitting there being sneakily, right, sneakily, right, benefiting off of black pain, especially black male pain, right? So the last great apexness of black menness was around the 60s. And then certain personnel within Padambe's culture and certain numbers of those women was within certain parts of Padambe's culture, where that's another whole topic, right? See, that crocodile tears, see, that's very powerful, the ones who know what I'm talking about. And so then the system said, whoa, we gotta watch this now. We gotta subvert this, man, and squash this strong black maleness, at least collectively. And that's what they did when they started going into sitting there creating the black feminism situation, a sisterhood of chaosness toward their own black men, right? They ramped it up even more to try to project black men as criminalities and laziness. Oh, they just start ramping stuff up, right? And so you start getting a piece of uplifting toward a little bit of strong black men. This is tiny bit, a little bit more back in the 80s, late 80s, and a piece of 90s. And then supremacist says, okay, that's the second time. We got to squash this overall completely. So we're going to inundate them, their neighborhoods, with certain types of substances, get them hooked on certain things. And then we're going to make sure to produce down more bad seeds, more racism, terrorists. And then we're going to add some other people, some other different cultures and backgrounds to sit there and look down upon even more upon American black males, even though they're latecomers and, fence players and stuff like that. And we allow those numbers to come over here. We allow supremacists, right? But many of them want to be like us in the first place. You see how that goes? But unfortunately, by the multi-millions, there are numbers of American blacks, unfortunately, that sit there and fail for the nonsensical people of color nonsense and a minority switchery tactic. Because numbers of what we call Anglo women would be called minorities too. You see how that game goes? Somebody just ran from some other country and background, some kind of border breaker, legal immigrant personnel. Also, depending on where that person is coming from, whatever it is, they can slip on a minority background as well, right? And people of color. You see how that goes, right? And then have the audacity to look down upon the American black man for what the American black men have been through hell, and collectively still going through a lot of stuff, still going through certain types of self-hatred, still going through some types of self-denial situations, right? Having to fight 4 or 5 flights of stairs and then get to the midway stairs and some more stairs are added to it and stuff like that. This is what's going on with the plight of the American black man. I'm not talking about the gullible ones and the ones that denial mode, stuff like that. Because black pain is a very strong deterrent. So the thing about it is, relating to this topic, Black Manhood by the great Dr. Amos Wilson, who was an intellectual American black man powerhouse of a scholar, very down to earth, very layman's terms and terminology. Can sit there and speak some big terminology if needed to, right? He would say, hey, just call me, brother, right? But he deserved to be called the Dr. Wilson as well. So you didn't question his American black maleness, the way he came across. He was a black psychologist, taught at colleges, wrote various books, right? Some of the books he wrote was called Blueprint for Black Power, A Moral, Political, and Economic Imperative for the 21st Century. Another book called Awakening the natural genius of a black child, of black children, excuse me, the awakening, the natural, awakening the natural genius of black children, specifically American black children, the falsification of African consciousness, Eurocentric history, psychiatry, because he was in psychiatry as well, psychologist, excuse me. He was all in those kind of areas. And the politics of white supremacy. One other pivotal, powerful books he wrote also was Black on Black Violence, the psychodynamics of black self-annihilation and service of white domination. Oh, and he will be very much missed in his transition life, which is January 14th, I think, of 1995. He was born in February 23rd, 1941 in Mississippi. Those 90s, those middle 90 parts, 1990s, was the last remaining parts of somewhat remaining strong black manness. And ever since then, there has not been a production in replacing transitional black males, their life force going to wherever it's going to go or not go. There's not been a reproduction or productionist of strong black manness, not in denial mode, not thinking things are, it's not as it was. That's a stupid sellout, infantile response. Of course, people are not getting lynched the way they used to be, but black males are still getting lynched more than anybody else. You still got injustices still going toward American black men. The American black man is the number one most hated male. Statistics show that. But of course, most people want to talk about that. It's like the thing with the OJ Simpson situation. I don't want to go into that. It's not the top for the day, right? So again, this system must show, and it must be chaotic chaos, right? OJ Simpson, oh man, he was doing this with those women of Panama-based culture. Oh, at the same time, he was anti-Semitic. Oh, over here, he took the lives of this person, that person over here. Oh, he definitely had to be anti-Semitic. Oh, that person, but at the same time, you don't hear people saying, get over it, right? When only weekly basis, American black men are going through torture, right? From however parts of the Padami's culture, certain other people from different other cultures and backgrounds, term lifestyle categories, certain ones, people that sit there, other entities and stuff like that, who know they are, who sit there and watch and sit there and see what's going on a little bit. And again, bypass American blacks that don't see what the heck is going on, right? And even the traveling part, that's still a limited version, because again, if that black male is not a citizen or a naturalized citizen in another country, they still have to watch what happens and stuff like that. You see how that goes, right? So they still have to be on their P's and Q's. Some people don't get this concept. Just as you have people that think what is American black men is bad version of hip hop. Okay, I'm going somewhere totally different. So back to the great Dr. Amos Wilson. Let me place a clip. Let me just play a strong, powerful clip. We also talked about black manhoodness and seeing these games and some of these tactics and this minimization. And this was back in the 1990s. So let me go ahead and play you this powerful clip from the great American black scholar, psychologist, true brotherhood author, the great Dr. Amos Wilson. Give me one moment here for a second. Here we go.
And the importance of work and labor in defining what it means to be a himself as a man when there is no labor or productive work in which he is engaged. You see? And that's a direct connection between productivity, work and labor, and masculinity in the sense of manhood. So the unemployment is just not merely an absence of jobs, but for a people who want to defeat black manhood, this absence of job is a part of defeating that manhood and putting that manhood in doubt. Particularly when black males have bought their definition of what it means to be a man, you see. And in 1989, 13.8% of black youths 16 to 24 were not enrolled in school and did not have their high school diploma. The majority of these youth were black males. Frank Spradley out there in Brooklyn, who some of you heard about, of course, was dealing with this issue. We are living in critical times, he says, and we need some radical measures to rescue our young black males. And they go on to talk about what he's doing in his school. I read these, of course, and I know you're very familiar with them, to emphasize the fact that the black male must be given special attention and focus because he is given a negative special attention and focus by the system of oppression under which he lives. And to ignore this special focus and special oppression is to endanger the very survival of our people. And therefore, black manhood must be examined because it is in the context of black manhood that the race itself will survive. This race cannot survive without the survival of the black male. Women, you can't do it by yourself. It's not going to happen that way. Your enemy knows it. That's why he's chosen this black male to come after and to destroy is possible. And that's why he psyched some of the females out into thinking that they can live without it. When you're psyched into that kind of thing, you become an ally of oppression. And this is in part what Ali is trying to get at. How does the black woman in accepting uncritically the values and orientations of an oppressive system, in effect then becomes a part of the problem of the black male and not a part of the solution to the problem as such. And that has to be looked at. I know it gets at your feminine ego, but you gotta deal with it because it's not about your ego. It's about the survival of a group. And we had to put all of our egos behind us, male and female, when it comes to the survival of the group. And we got to get out of defensive postures and all this kind of stuff because, how it hurts our pride is not the point. But how do we survive as a people? So what do we have here? To a good extent, a good deal of the material I'll be talking about is from this book, Manhood in the Making. So if you want to check some of it out, Manhood in the Making by David Gilmore, Cultural Concepts of Masculinity. And some good pieces on African manhood culture and what that is about. And I think we should read some of this material. I tell my psychology majors that your education in psychology is not complete without a working knowledge of anthropology. We underestimate the wisdom of our ancient cultures and the wisdom of our so-called primitive cultures severely. Just because a philosophy or ideology occurs later in time does not mean that philosophy or ideology is an advance over older ones. I think if you really took time and read anthropological studies of African people, you'd be just so pleasantly surprised to see the wisdom contained in their ideological and how complex the ideology is and how they solve problems that we see as almost irresolvable today. And see the variety of solutions they provide for us. So we need to study those cultures. And even if they're written by white men, doesn't matter. There's a lot of stuff that slips through. There's a lot of stuff that's there that you can use. So don't let the idea that it's written by a white anthropologist, because I see some of us jump off on that, it's written by white folks, you know. These people are blind to many things too. And even though they may have intentions and other things, even in their blindness, they supply you with information and knowledge they don't even know they're supplying you with. You see? So you can't go off on a reactionary trip now and assume simply because something is written by a white anthropology, just it's not of any value to you. Not at all. Not at all. You can find stuff of immense value in anthropological works. They may have used it to embarrass us or do things like that, but it doesn't mean that the material itself cannot be used to uplift at the same time. One of the reasons why I talk against so-called equal education is the fact that education is a result, to a great extent, of what the student brings to the educational process. That it is the result of the intentionality of the student. That it is intentionality that makes the difference in what you get from education, not what is stated in the classroom. You see? So that a black student and a white student sitting in the same classroom, one intending to rule the world and master the world and control the world, gets a very different bit of information, a very different orientation from the same information that is given to the black student. The idea that your children are getting the same education as a white child, when their motivations are different, their values are different, where they want to go and what they want to do with the knowledge of difference is a fallacy. You can't have equal education with people who have different intentionalities. You see, it's the intentionality. Whether you intend to be a slave, whether you intend to be a servant, a second banana, subordinated, whether your highest goal is to work for white men or work for yourself, those things have effects on your memory, they have effect on your perception, on your understanding what you're reading, and on how you apply what you read and know.
Powerful, 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 powerful. The great Amos Wilson. He will be missed. Let me read you a couple of quotes also he relayed over. If you want to understand any problem in America, you need to focus on who profits from that problem, not who suffers from that problem. Let me repeat that powerful quote again. If you want to understand any problem in America, you need to focus on who profits from that problem, not who suffers from that problem. A last quote I want to read from the great famous American Black man, Dr. Amos Wilson, is justice requires not only the ceasing and desisting of injustice, but also requires either punishment or reparation for injuries and damages inflicted for prior wrongdoing. The essence of justice is a redistribution of gains earned through the perpetuation of injustice. If restitution is not made and reparations not instituted to compensate for prior injustices, those injustices are in effect rewarded. The great Dr. Amos Wilson will be missed. because unfortunately, the production of strong American Black men is dwindling. And this is why I say myself again 1,000 times more. The American Black modern day culture only has half a generation to one generation left before the overall complete destruction of the overall American Black modern day culture. The small amounts within American Black culture, modern day, will be just only a very small number of survivors, especially within American Black menism. And that's the way it has to be. Because too many times within American Blackism, modern day has allowed people to play so many games, nonsensical tactics. And this is why, again, the system does not like any type of strong black manhood personnel. I thank you for tuning in to the Black men's experiences. I am your host, CP.